Am I the asshole for hiding my amyotrophic lateral sclerosis diagnosis from my grandfather? 1 year ago, I, a 25-year-old male, was diagnosed with limb-onset amyotrophic lateral sclerosis after a long struggle with experiencing foot drop and muscle weakness. For a few months, I hid my diagnosis from everyone until the progression of the disease forced me to come clean. To be honest, I am still coming to terms with this, and each day has been a living hell as I wake up not knowing what motor skills I will lose next. I have always been fiercely independent and the protector of the people I love, so it kills me knowing that everyone who loves me, my girlfriend especially, now has to bear the burden of my illness. The one person I have not told is my grandfather, who raised me and my brother until we were teenagers because my parents were at work all the time. He is the one who cared for me the most, who has literally watched me grow up. I have always promised to take care of him and give him the best of everything because he sacrificed to give me as much of a happy childhood as he could. Ever since I was diagnosed, the thought of having to tell my grandfather that his grandson has an incurable, degenerative disease has plagued me, and I do not think I can gather up the courage to tell him or to face the fact that I cannot fulfill my promise. He is nearing 70 years old, and I want him to live as happily as possible without worrying about me. The other day, we met for a family dinner. I do not see my grandfather very often now, so before the dinner I was adamant that my grandfather would not find out. My brother and girlfriend agreed to cover for me using a wheelchair by saying I had been injured playing soccer. Grandfather accepted the excuse, and all seemed to be well until my cousin, who was not aware my grandfather did not know, brought it up. As I expected, he was devastated and could not stop asking me why I did not tell him. Later that night, the sudden emotional shock likely triggered his heart condition. He has a history of heart attacks. My grandfather is now in the hospital, and I have not been able to stop crying. My brother is furious at my cousin for revealing my diagnosis, and even more so for not being apologetic since she is insisting that it is my fault, because I should have just been honest with my grandfather. She called me manipulative and a liar and said that it was not my place to decide whether grandfather could handle it or not. The guilt is eating me alive, but at the same time the aftermath just tells me that I was right to hide it because the news absolutely crushed my grandfather. I do not know what to do anymore except to pray that my grandfather makes it through. Am I the asshole? Edit. Thank you all for your responses, and especially to those who express things from my grandfather's perspective. I am not sure how much this changes, but my cousin's husband saw this post, and now my cousin is livid. My brother just got off a call with her, and apparently he did actually tell her not to say anything and let me take the lead, just that she highly disagreed, so I guess this was her way of voicing her disagreement. I did not know about this part, so I assumed the benefit of the doubt that she did not know. Again, I appreciate everyone and will be hopefully visiting my grandfather as soon as we get more news about his condition. Reddit verdict. No assholes here. Top comments. Comment. No assholes here. Love, I am so sorry. That is such a heavy diagnosis. You are not an asshole. But at 69 years old, your grandfather could live for another 20 years. You are not going to be able to hide it forever. And he is a grown man. He does not need protecting from reality. He will be devastated for sure. Who would not be? His precious grandson facing such a hard prognosis? His heart will break, but that is part of life. And the earlier you know about something horrendous, the sooner you can start to process it, you know? Your cousin did not realize you had not told him. She is not an asshole for bringing it up. It is a big thing, and your loved ones are going to want to talk about it. It is awful that your grandfather is in the hospital, but that is the best place for him to be, and I am sure they are doing all they can for him. And it is not your fault or your cousin's fault. It is natural to want to grasp onto blame when bad things happen, but it does not really help. Give yourself and your cousin some grace. You have both had very human reactions to a terrible situation. Comment. The original poster asked his brother and girlfriend to help him lie to his grandfather. I would say that is pretty manipulative. In the cousin situation, I would feel horribly guilty for triggering grandfather's medical episode, but also feel incredibly angry at the original poster for making this something that I had done wrong. How was the cousin meant to know that grandfather was being kept in the dark? And then feel guilty again about being angry at my terminally ill cousin? And then I expect I would end up doubling down because, seriously, what was the original poster thinking? That he would just lie to grandfather until one of them died? To the original poster, I am so sorry you are going through this. Do you have a therapist you have been talking to about your diagnosis? If not, it is probably worth getting one, as you have not been dealing with it in the best way. Author: Thanks for your comment, and you make valid points. I did make an edit after my brother spoke with my cousin over the phone. I do not have a therapist, and quite honestly, I have not thought about it, but perhaps I might look into it. It is just that care for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis is so damned expensive, and the costs are just going to increase from there, especially as it progresses. Comment: Everyone sucks here. You did not tell your cousin not to say anything, so they assumed he knew. Your grandfather is upset you hid this from him. Answer: First, read the update. The cousin knew. She did this on purpose and is now trying to distract everyone from her own culpability after pulling an incredibly manipulative, asshole public disclosure that was not her right. Second, you are out of line. You are talking to a 25-year-old who has every right to decide when and to whom he discloses his terminal illness. Do you know how awful amyotrophic lateral sclerosis is? I do. It is horrifying. Give the original poster a break. If the original poster was not ready to tell his grandfather, that is his right. Original poster, go talk to your grandfather, but stop beating yourself up. Yes, he needed to know eventually, but you have nothing to feel guilty over. Your delay was very human and very understandable. Comment: Softly, you are the asshole. I think it is naive to think that the rest of your family will just never spill the secret, because unless no one knows, it's not a secret. Family always talks. I also think your grandfather deserved to hear it from you. That said, I understand the fear you have. You are in a no-win situation and unable to do a damn thing about it. If you can, seek counseling. Lean on your family. You do not have to be alone. Edit: I forgot something. Go to him. Explain why you were scared. I am sure he will understand because he loves you. Comment: Softly, you are the asshole. You should have told him. Your cousin is right in that you should have been honest. She is very, very, very wrong in saying that you are manipulative. The aftermath just tells me that I was right to hide it because the news absolutely crushed my grandfather. That is the exact opposite lesson you should have learned. You and your brother could have told your grandfather about the diagnosis in a controlled situation. For example, "Hey, grandfather, I need to talk to you about a doctor's visit I had recently," instead of it being flung upon him at a family dinner. He is your parent. Parents want their kids to feel comfortable coming to them about anything, even earth-shattering news like this. Comment: Very gentle. Everyone sucks here. I understand your reasoning, but deciding to tell everyone except him meant that this would have happened eventually. He is not just upset that you are sick, he is upset you kept it from him. He is probably wondering what he did that you would not trust him with this information. The damage is done. Tell your brother to lay off your cousin. Go apologize to grandfather and tell him you love him. Cousin sucks, not for revealing it, but for what she said afterwards. Update: I appreciate everyone who commented, both support and honest criticism. I have been making the most of whatever time I have left since then. Some of you were sharp and picked up that my amyotrophic lateral sclerosis is fast progressing, which is very accurate considering how recently it has felt like jumping off one cliff after another, which I am pretty shocked by. In a way, I do thank my cousin for spilling my secret, because I did not expect how little time I had before I could not hide it. My grandfather did pull through, recovered, and handled things like a champion. He is not in perfect health, and obviously neither am I, but we make it work. Per everyone's suggestions, I visited him as soon as possible, and we had a long talk. I showed him my post as well, with lots of tears and emotional moments. I apologized for hiding my condition and promised to be transparent with him from now on. Although I got nagged and lovingly lectured at, I do think I felt relieved to get that emotional weight over with. Grandfather said a lot, and I cannot include everything, but the main two things were, 1, he already sensed something was off, though he was not sure what exactly, and definitely did not expect amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, and 2, he needs no protection from reality and wants to support in any way he can. He will be moving in with me and my brother, and we are looking at hiring caregivers so my brother is not overwhelmed. I have begun voice banking due to speech changes, mostly hoarseness and slight slur, basically like a drunk Mickey Mouse. While the people closest to me can still somewhat understand what I say, Grandfather tops everyone else and is proudly serving as resident translator. Honestly, it is a pleasant surprise how well he gets my speech, but I am so grateful he has gifted me these precious moments amidst the frustration. I have since gone low contact with my cousin for a variety of reasons, namely constantly disrespecting my wishes. The major one being that she came into my house knowingly with a cold, even while we had already warned people not to visit if they were sick in any form. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis screws with my immune system, and at this stage it is very easy for my respiratory system to become compromised even with minor illnesses. I have minimal breathing issues so far though. I have learned a lot about myself and life in general through this disease, and given the aggressive progression, am now mentally preparing to make some hard decisions. When I first learned about my diagnosis, I rejected tracheotomy, invasive ventilation, and feeding tube, but recently I have begun to reconsider. I think the worst feeling is just being terrified of both living and dying. I'm trying to stay in a good place mentally and emotionally, and I'm always grateful to have people I love and who love me by my side. I know this update is not all sunshine, but I hope it gives some closure. Thanks, everyone.
Write what you think about this situation. Who did the right thing, and who is the asshole? Let's discuss it in the comments. In the meantime, let's move on to the next story.
Am I the asshole for refusing to drive my friend to class every morning after they sold their car to buy Electric Daisy Carnival tickets? My friend and I go to the same university, but we live in different neighborhoods, about 30 minutes apart. Up until recently, we both drove ourselves. Last month, my friend decided to sell his car to buy Electric Daisy Carnival tickets and some merchandise for his favorite disc jockey. I thought it was somewhat impulsive, but it is his money though. This week, he started asking me to drive him to class every morning. I did not mind giving him a ride once or twice when it was on the way, but then it turned into an everyday expectation. My friend calls me every night to make sure I am still picking him up, and last night he called me again. When I hesitated, he did not seem to understand my perspective and even said, "Well, you're driving there anyway. It is not that big of a deal." But here's the thing. Picking up my friend is not just a small detour. It adds about 1 hour to my round trip, and I end up rushing to find parking and settle before class. Also, he is not contributing any money for the gasoline. So I told him directly that I cannot be his daily driver, especially since I have my own schedule and part-time job to juggle. My friend just kept saying, "It is not cool, brother, not cool." I reminded him that selling his car and buying Electric Daisy Carnival tickets was also not cool if he cannot afford it, and it is not my responsibility to cover for him. Then he cut off the call while I was still talking to him. I do not think it is wrong on my side, but I want him to be responsible and not use me as his daily driver. Am I the asshole? Reddit verdict: not the asshole. Top comment: super not the asshole. He was not even giving you gas money? What a user! It is definitely not your job to spend an extra hour each day to drive this guy around. Comment: not the asshole. If he really needed a ride and you were okay with it, then he should be at your place by the time you need to leave. Comment: not the asshole. Speaking as a former ride moocher myself, he should be extremely grateful to you and offer gas money without being prompted. Either he will learn to use a bus or learn a harsh life lesson about the consequences of impulsive decisions. Either way, he is lucky to be in college where learning like this is meant to happen. Answer: also a former ride moocher. Did not get my license until 21. There is an etiquette, and this person is not following it. 1. The driver's time is golden. Do not be late or complain about their timeliness. The driver's availability is to be kept sacrosanct. 2. Pay for the usage. It is not just gas, but the driver's time and property. Usually 60 to 75% of gas consumption would be ideal, perhaps more for electric vehicles. The cost of maintenance is a consideration. 3. Even if they are not doing you a favor, they are doing you a favor. Thank you, please, and similar words are appropriate for someone driving you around. What do you think about this situation? Who do you think is a jerk, and who did the right thing? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel to get more cool and interesting stories. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.